Today, we start very strong with Donato Barberio. Who decided to work, you or your parents?
I did. That's why I said they didn't force me. I did want to. You know, at the school they teach you, but the practice is very little.
I actually had the opposite. You know, when you do start your university, again, you know the theory, but you don't know the practice. So then when I throw myself into business, well, I had a lot to learn.
I could see in my experience, in my field, a lot of businessmen in hospitality, which they don't have a sort of a master or degree, but they are CEO. I'm gonna tell you this story, and as all people from the south of Italy, we tend to live our comfort life in a comfort zone. You spend your time back home, mom, daddy. You don't have to worry about cooking, cleaning, or paying a rent or anything.
Italian people.
Yeah,
where is
exactly.
the camera?
Exactly.
Italians.
That's what we usually do.
This makes me crazy because I prepare something and then fuck that shit. Like, I want to know. I'm so excited to officially open a brand new season of Between the Lines. From today, we're bringing you fresh episodes filled with powerful stories of success, resilience, a winning mindset, a bold truth that will inspire you to see life differently. For those of you who are new here, welcome. I'm Lucia, a brain coach and founder of LGG Life Coaching. My work blends neuroscience, mindset rewiring, and positive intelligence to help people break free from self-sabotage, discover their authentic self, and live with purpose. This podcast is where I share real, raw, and untold stories that go beyond the surface, because true transformation happens when we dare to read between the lines. And today, we start very strong with Donato Barberio, which is, who are you? You are, first of all, you're a friend, okay?
Right.
Yeah, a friend, a dad, yeah, of 3.
Correct.
Husband, yeah.
Correct.
And GM of one of the most important, let's say, chains, companies in food and beverage. We're
Correct.
not going to say the name for privacy, but I am so keen to hear your story. Where do you want to start?
First of all, thank you, Lucia, for having me.
Thank you.
Pretty excited, as is my very real podcast. Very, very excited. My story is pretty.
Where did you start?
It started actually when I was 14 years old. When I decided what school and what path I would want to have for my life. And I decided to go to the Alberghiero, which is a tourism school.
Right.
At the time, I was 14, and right away I started to work in a coffee shop. Not because my parents were forcing me, it's just because I had that feeling that I wanted to be independent, and I really want to exercise all what I was doing at the school, even though I was pretty new in that sort of environment. So I started then, and till today, I'm still doing the job and I love doing it after more than 25 years.
So you're saying that basically you started that 14 hospitality.
Correct.
Yeah, you studied hospitality.
Correct.
And at the same time you were working?
Yes, indeed.
In a coffee
shop. Yep.
Doing what?
Coffee.
Do coffee?
Making coffee, serving coffee. That's pretty much. It was a multi. You also were serving usually back to the south of Italy. You have this coffee shop.
Where do you? Which part of Italy do you come from?
South of Italy. I'm from a city or town near to Bari. We are approximately 30,000 people over there. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a coffee shop where they would also sell ice creams, sort of sandwiches, and opening from 5:30 in the morning until 1 a.m. 1 a.m.
So,
But I was working in the afternoon only. I was going in the evening.
who decided to work? You or your parents?
I did. That's why I said they didn't force me. I did want to. I did
Okay.
want to, because for me it was like, at the school they teach you, but the practice is very little. You don't really have to experience, or like, okay, to make a coffee, okay, you got a class of 20 people all lining up for who's gonna make the first coffee, and you basically don't really exercise. So it's a lot of theory behind, but not enough practice. So for me it was like, oh, I really want to know how to do it, and I want to be the best I can, and the only way I could do that is just to really practicing it. And that's why I started to work in a coffee shop.
This touches my experience big time, like in my personal experience, because I actually had the opposite. Like until I haven't been working until maybe 20 years old. When you do start your university, again, you know the theory, but you don't know the practice. So then when I throw myself into business, I had a lot to learn. So what kind of baggage did you bring?
So, see, by doing that, it's got pro and cons. I do carry a lot of years of experience, but at the same time, I never had a time or a chance to stop and dedicate what at the time would have been needed to get a graduation and a sort of a master for what I'm currently doing. So, but then again, I could see in my experience, in my field, a lot of businessmen in hospitality, which they don't have a sort of a master or degree, but they are CEO, or they are CEO. So that's my sort of inspiration in a way. So I don't regret not going to the school, not going to the university, because what I am today is for all what I did. So due to the experience, I managed to be where I am today. But at the same time, I do miss that little parts, which you never know. One day, hopefully, I will try to find some spare time between my work life and private life to try to get this sort of extra knowledge that on paper would help me to continue to grow and to achieve more than a position, more rewards. I did do some sort of courses, okay, I can say that, especially during COVID, where I was back home. I couldn't do much, so I was doing a lot of online courses. And see, at the end, I could see that those courses were just telling me what I was already doing. They were not teaching me what I actually wanted. So for me it was, okay, I know. Okay, let's move next. Okay, I know, let's move next. But in reality...
Why did you know already? Why do you think you knew already?
I have experienced that, but the best way to learn is to have a proper leader, someone that would teach you how to do things right. Yes, at one point you need to throw yourself into the fire to understand how hot and how it burns. But if you have someone that you can look up and that can teach you whenever you need, or whenever you touch the bottom and you're like, okay, I can't move, I need some sort of support, okay, to get there faster and better. So likely I had few people during my career which they actually helped me in that. Hence, I've learned faster in a way, but also in a proper way, things that probably they're teaching on the university. But again, it doesn't mean the university is bad or that it's not worth it. Absolutely not. But there are two ways to see these aspects.
And it looks like you chose, how to say, you really wanted to find people you got inspiration from. Like, it's not like, oh, yeah, I bumped into this one, I bumped into that one. Like, you really searched for them, or not? Well, it's a feeling that I have.
First one, actually happened without searching for anything. Okay, so I remember actually I'm gonna tell you this story, and you know, as all people from the south of Italy, you know, we tend to live our comfort life in a comfort zone. You know, you spend your time back home, mom, daddy. You don't have to worry about cooking, cleaning, or paying a rent or anything.
Italian people.
Yeah,
Where is
exactly.
the camera?
You know, exactly.
Italians.
That's what we usually do. But then at one point, I was like, you know, I want to do more. I want to do something different. So I decided to, when I finished my graduation, to do a master, which was related to manage big international chains such as like McDonald's or Autogrill or, you know, petrol station, or big chain where, you know, your managerial role would be different than running a simple restaurant or hotel in a certain way. Obviously, hotel is much more complex around the area where I was living. And two of the requirements were one, a good knowledge of the field, so a lot of experience, which I had. And the second one was a medium intermediate language, English language knowledge, which I didn't. So then I said, okay, what I'm gonna do, I have one, I need to get a second one to get into this course. Otherwise, I would have not been able to attend. Because
Wait, but you were already where?
I was in Italy. I was at the age of 22. I was 22 years old. And I wanted to do that. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to UK. In UK, I'm going to learn as much as I can. 6 months down the line, I'll get back and I'll subscribe to this master. I will apply to this master if I'll manage to fit the criteria.
Where did you go in UK?
London.
Okay, but London can be like a hub of experts. Well, not now, but, you know, so you can easily speak Italian at some point.
And that's why I decided not to choose. I decided not to choose, not to be with Italians, not to work in Italian restaurants, and to stay away from, I don't want to say the people that I knew, because obviously I needed, you know, a couple of people.
Yeah.
But I was forcing myself to speak and to be surrounded by, I was going to the pub, not knowing anyone, just for the sake of, I'm going to be in that sort of chaos where even if I say something wrong, nobody's going to judge me. But at least I'm expressing myself. At least I'm trying to speak. I'm trying to be out of that comfort zone. So that's why when I went to London, I worked in a French restaurant. I mean, that was my first job was in a French brasserie. It is where I met my first sort of mentor, which after the interview, well, basically a week after I started, I found out that the general manager was from a city which is 10 minutes far from where I live. So basically, obviously, we didn't know each other. But this person...
It clicked.
Yeah, this person was there. And then I said, wow, if he managed to do it, means I can do it. So basically, my 6 months became 2 years in London. After that, I felt like, okay, I wanted to do more. I want to experience more. And I wanted to do more of, to have more international experience. And the company which I was working with back then had branches very successful in Dubai. So then when I decided, okay, if there is a chance, I'm happy to move in Dubai. I'll go for a year and then I'll get back always like, I'm going to go back to Italy and still do that master. Reality is, I came to Dubai and in a way, I never left Dubai. So it's been almost 10 years.
Okay, 10 years ago then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
2012, the first time when I arrived. Then I left for 3 years to do a new opening for the same company of Dubai, UK, the same company back in Italy. But then obviously after 3 years, boom, got back to Dubai. Now it's been since 2018. Now is another 7 years, seven consecutive years, plus the 3 before, so total of 10.
You know, Donato, we are friends, but I never heard this because we never just had the opportunity. so far, right? And it opens a lot of tabs in my brain, what you said, because I remember just a minute ago, I asked you, do you think this happened by chance? The fact that it came intentionally, the fact that you wanted to find your mentor. I think is your subconscious brain. Like, you really wanted to find someone to get inspired by. And one thing that really hit my attention was when you said you need to force yourself to do something out of your comfort zone, such as, for example, not hanging out with Italian people, or not so much. And in London, it's honestly a threat.
Back then, it was almost impossible.
Yeah.
But it was an advice that I had. It's like, okay, if you want to go there and don't spend your entire life, because I knew people that were there for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and they still were not able to learn the language because they were always hanging out with Italians. Like, you need to force yourself. So that's because for me, like, I don't want to be there. I don't want to. Well, the initial thought was I don't want to live there. Then eventually it turns out to be a beautiful city, which I'm very devoted, because if it wasn't for that starting point, probably I would not be where I am today again. You know, it all happens for a reason. But all what I knew is that I never wanted to be, until today, I don't want to be in a comfort zone. At the moment I am in a comfort zone, I feel like I'm not free, and I need my freedom. My freedom means to be back in the field, get a lot of challenges, learn something new, get something that I don't know, because I can't simply stay in my comfort zone.
And this is exactly what this makes me crazy, because, I prepare something and then fuck that shit. Like, I want to know how, because the whole, or let's say, I don't want to say that, but I'm going to say that 90% of human beings, or at least the people who I met, want certainty. It's difficult for the brain to want to be able to get closer to uncertainty. The brain wants to have certainty. We want to be safe. We don't want innovation, but innovation is what brings us to the next level. Does it resonate to you? Does it resonate that to you? When you said, I had to force myself, how did you feel when you were in that process of forcing yourself?
I do not deny that.
Tell.
You're crumbling, okay? You could choose the easy way, but you still decide to stay in a very difficult situation. No situation, but a different environments. Like, again, I'm going to tell you one more things. I was living in London. I was renting a room in a British house far from the center. So basically, my landlord and my not roommate, but sort of the only person which was living in the house was the owner, which was a British guy. And this guy, I remember, at 65, back then, 65 plus years old, he was buying me a small book, a kid's book in English, for us to communicate, and for him to try to teach me something. So it was so I tried in all the way to be in such a very uncomfortable situation, because I wanted to push myself as much as I could to get where I wanted to be. For the first 6 months, I was basically waking up 8 o'clock in the morning, going to school, 9 to 12, going back home, grab the uniform and the bag, going to work, back at midnight, and all over again from Monday to Friday. Saturday and Sunday, obviously I was working double shifts all day, and what was funny is that all my earnings were sort of in the spreadsheet. Basically, they were counted as in a single sense. So I only had £10 per day left for my food. That's it. I couldn't do anything. That's how I lived for 6 months. Why? Because I cannot give up. That's what I want, and I have to do it now. If I started to drop the school, well, I'm gonna have £300 more. Was back 300 and something pounds in my pocket. I'm gonna start to go out with my friends. I'm gonna burn the money, but I'm gonna slow down the process. So they were pretty much, the first 6 months were very intense. But again, probably thanks to those 6 months is that I understood that I could do and I could get what I wanted if I wanted in a shorter period. Well, it was the only time in my life, I don't know if we can edit, that I was eating McDonald's. I don't eat McDonald's, but it was only I could afford at the time with £10.
I can
Chocolate
imagine. Yeah, because I was making the math. Like, what is it? Like, how do you really survive with
£6.95 for a chicken burger combo, French fries and cola, and a few pounds left for chocolate.
You see how really, this experience shapes your mind. And I believe that, you have 3 kids now.
I do. And it is something that I wish...
You have 3 kids and a few sessions at the psychology.
No. They actually bring...
Yeah. Now you're back on track.
They bring peace, and they are the sort of, the stressing ball. So I don't need to have a stressing ball, but when I see them, even if they're crying, it really is all the stress. They help me to go back to my roots and say, you know what, all what you're doing, it is no longer for yourself, but it's for them. So keep pushing even harder.
Yeah, because for sure, even, since the day that you started being a dad, then you've already giving
necessities change.
What you learned.
Yes.
Okay, so many questions, because now I'm thinking about you've been a dad, and what are you teaching to your kids? If you want to answer to this question.
I'm teaching them to be themselves. I'm teaching them I don't want to say we're not spoiling them, because that's not true. That's not true, because we keep on trying to give them and as much as we could. But definitely the life principle that we grew up, me and my wife, the same story. So we come from the same city. So we share the same principle. So it definitely is something that we're trying to implement in their culture on a daily basis. Now, reality is that they're small. So it will take some time, years, until we will really start to see how they're getting. Yeah. They're getting, and how and what they're going to do with what we're trying, the core value that we're trying to teach them.
Do you see them getting out of the house at 14?
I don't know, but I hope they will. I hope they will take that opportunity, or they will come and they will say, hey, how about that? How about me trying to do that? I will be sad. I will be crying inside of me, but I'll be as much proud, because they're taking our lead. They're taking my lead. It's the real blood. It means the culture is right. Well, I don't think 14. Okay, nowadays is different, but university, I wouldn't be surprised, and I would never neglect the opportunity if they would, and there will be a chance for them to go abroad. Even though in Dubai, in UAE, and if we are going to be here, we're going to be here. It really depends where we're going to. But if they, there is great university here, but if they would want to, why not? Or schooling.
Yeah. We'll see. Because
surely we'll send them back home for a summer. To see what the real life is back south of Italy, and is where we grew up and where all the, let's say, stimulation have happened. because then you see what it goes around and they're like, okay, am I happy with this, or do I want more? And that is where you decide. I mean, that's what triggered me, that I wanted to get more than what I could see around.
Yeah, this is definitely a lot of teaching, a lot of things that you can say, like, I'm gonna do it better for the kids. Or the kids will do better than me. There is one thing that is just crossing my thoughts right now, is about your lifestyle, which clearly is, I mean, I see the whoop there, and I would like to know a little bit, what is your weakness? What kind of, we don't want to know, again, we don't want to know the name of the company you're working for, but, we want to know your lifestyle, how is affecting you, because I want to go then to see how we can introduce some, let's say, coaching-related questions, which is, by the way, the first time I'm going to do it in a podcast. Let's see how you react.
Okay.
Yeah?
It is intense. When you're managing over 200 employees, okay, not all of them directly, of course, but you have the responsibility of over 200 family. I mean, it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy, because you really want for them to be in the best conditions, work and private life as well. You really need to come up with, as many ideas, as many strategy in order for the business to succeed and for them. Because at the end of the day, happy guest, happy business, happy employee. It's a circle that goes around. So, and you are basically the middleman. So you need to make sure that employees are happy. So employee give a best service to the guests are happy, they pay, come back, company's happy, and the company gives more to the employee. So it's this sort of triangle that is very delicate. It looks simple, but it's not. So going to your coaching topic, it's a lot of coaching. I feel like, I'm a dad as well, also at work, because I have all these kids coming and talking to me, but it's not that I do it because, I have to listen to them. And actually, I feel like it's needed, because every time I have an interaction with them, I learn something new. And it is something that I also bring as a knowledge and as learning curve, learning point for me as well, because their story somehow are linked to my story. So it's always like, it's never like one direction. Is always a both direction conversation, and at the end of the day, the reality or the main goal should be to both in a winning situation.
What is the main goal then? What is the vision that you would like to achieve in the
For them or for me?
It can be a win-win.
Personal satisfaction. Personal satisfaction brings happiness. If you are happy, it's because you are satisfied on what you're doing, on your personal life, on your work environments. And at the end of the day, all what I'm trying to do on a daily basis is just to stay away from the frustration. Try to do whatever it takes to leave the frustration on the side at the back, because anyway, it's always there. It's always there, ready to knock the door. And when it knocks the door, it's easier to drop you down, to push you down. So that's,
What is your main weapon to destroy the frustration?
How can I... You need to be patient. You need to be patient, because in most of the time, the fact that we want everything now and as fast as possible and the way we want it can bring some sort of frustration. So something that nowadays, and I'm in between the old school and the new generation, where the new generation doesn't want to wait a single second to get things. What I teach them, what I try to share with them is that patience is the goal. Patience and consistency. Only by being patiently and consistency over a long period of time, you will achieve whatever you want and in the best way you can. So by doing that, I believe you sort of trying to put the frustration in the second place, because when frustration come, or I haven't got promoted, I haven't got a pay raise for the past 6 months, and what, you can wait years until you get a pay raise. You might gonna have to wait years until you get a promotion. It happened to me. But then, you cannot have everything. You have a lot of young generation where, I've been in the same position with the same money in the past 6 months. I've been doing exactly the same things for the past 6 months. And so what? That's how it goes. That's, it's because you are not adding any value on what you're doing extra for you to do it better and for you to come up with a different strategy and a different way to approach what you're already doing. And that will lead you into an automatic promotion or pay raise or whatever it is. It can even be you'll be doing that for a full year, but then you're keeping your frustration on the side because you are trying to find a way, you're finding the way to get something new, for you. And that's my point of view. That's my point of view, because again, frustration is the worst, how can I say?
Feeling? No.
Feeling, yes. No, feeling, yeah. Is the worst feeling that nowadays hits most of us. But in general, not also at work, even in a private life.
Yeah, but you said something really that resonates a lot to me. Patience. So I don't want to say nowadays. I want to say human beings in general, because I don't know if it's like 50 years ago was different. I don't know. But the whole point is building resilience. And how you build resilience. How can you achieve something according to the vision that, by the way, you need to cultivate, because it's not something that pops up in your mind from one day to the other. So how do you persevere through the path of your vision if you don't have patience and you're not trained for this? So a kid who's given a lollipop, and then you say, this lollipop, if you don't open it, if you don't take it, you don't eat it, I'm going to give you 2 tomorrow. The kid who will wait for it is developing resilience. The one who does not do that is not developing resilience at that moment. So this is.
So what's your advice? How could we implement, or what should but in general,
well,
a human being, what should a human being do in order to cultivate this positive mindset?
So we're talking about little human beings, right? We start about little minds, great minds, because they are little, that they can really improve a lot, and then they're sponges, right? So what I do with my kids, and what I, as a mom, and I'm really trying my best, is not to put the focus on the objective itself, but prizing the kids, like giving real reward in the effort, which is trying one more time in anything, subject, math, whatever, gymnastics, whatever. Try one more time, being resilient. And the most important thing is the bond between a parent and a child, because the child takes the energy from the parent. So if the parent gives the right reward in the right things to be able for the child to develop resilience, for example, exactly as I said, putting focus on the building patience and say, oh, you see, you worked really hard to do this drawing or to do this exercise or whatever, instead of saying, oh, bravo, you're amazing. Oh, bravo. Okay, what is the next step? What do you want? Yeah. So it's all about, life pushes us to, I believe, to reach success. But reaching success is a goal. To be able to reach that, you really need to, in brackets, enjoy this moment that really kills yourself, which is the frustration. And this is where, I really try to pinpoint my kind of education for my kids. But, we are not getting off the topic. We are talking about, actually we're talking about mindset, right? Yep. So I believe that we are pretty much in line with that. What do you think?
Yep. No, absolutely.
So then, since we are into coaching now,
okay,
right? What do you think it will be? So you mentioned already your vision. You mentioned about you mentioned satisfaction. Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit more about it. How do you see this satisfaction, life satisfaction?
Well, if I have to take it in career progression, is all the steps that you try or you achieve. For instance, when I moved to UK, for me was not to be a general manager. For me was to be a good server abroad, not back in Italy, by using a new language. While I was there, I wanted to be a manager. I said, why not be a manager? Okay, and there are different grades, different steps to be a manager. So this different level. So moving from a restaurant to another restaurant, to a city to another city, or from UK to London, or
to UK to Dubai.
To Dubai.
Yeah.
As well, a new position with a higher responsibility. Mm-hmm. And now that basically I am where I am, but I'm looking forward, I've already set my goal to be into the next level, which 10 years ago, 7 years ago, I did not have in mind. I never thought, do you want to be a CEO, COO in a company, or you want to be an owner of the company? Do you want it? No, I did not have that.
That's what you want?
Possibly,
Look
yes.
At him.
Possibly, yes. I definitely don't want to be in the same position over and over and over, because then I would contradict myself. It's a comfort zone. And so I'll be pushing, and whatever it takes to be already to be eligible. Let's put it in that way, to be considered and eligible for the next role.
So imagine this becoming a CEO for company that you love. Hospitality. Okay. What would be the feeling? What would be your feeling?
Obviously, it would be a positive and very satisfactory. But it will not stop there, because then I will start to think, okay, what next? So I will be happy and satisfied, but because of the ambition that I have, I would want to push more.
Yeah. So
I would want to push more. So it would be a temporary peace of mind. Yeah. But hey, okay, Donato, now what next? Okay, don't give up. If you manage to achieve this, you could do more.
Yeah. So this brings me to a concept that is, every time I start coaching someone, there is this important thing to mention, which is you don't coach to reach objectives only. The objective is not the ultimate thing. The objective is just an expedient to become happy. So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if you're not of the same opinion. When you say, I want to become this, and then I will want to become something else, is an expedient for you to reach that satisfaction. So
Yes.
ultimately, the satisfaction comes from your career, comes from you. Of course, you've been an amazing dad. But all of these are steps and expedients, right? Amazing.
Yes. Well,
Tell me one thing.
I didn't know, to be honest. I back in the days, I never wanted to be engaged. I got married, and then with 3 kids. So all of these were not on paper discussed with anybody. I was like, I want to be a single traveler, and that's it. And then look at me today. I'm a happy dad of 3 kids, and husband. Okay.
If I tell you, give me 3 ideas that you might want to explore throughout your path of, achieving the next step. Just throw on the table 3 ideas and tell me every idea, for each idea to reach that goal, what do you love about that idea? So today you are the GM. Tomorrow you want to be the CEO. What are a couple of ideas that you have in mind to better whatever your performance in order to get closer to your goal?
Okay.
Yalla.
Okay. So I definitely need to have a winning strategy, because in order to succeed in what I would want to be next, I need to have a plan and strategize my action for the current business to be successful. From there, move to, I'm managing already 2, but to expand and being able to manage and being successful with 3 plus venues. And only by then, obviously, the next role will be there for me. Technically, will be there as a goal. So not only managing one, but multiple business that can be related to each other, but it can be also, and in many cases it happens that you have different businesses in different regions, but not linked to each other. So you may be able to, or you might be into managing completely different concepts, but all linked to the same company.
Wow.
And that is when, because you might be good at doing, let's say, one style, but I believe the most challenging is when you're good in doing in different concepts. So you're still related, you're still in hospitality, but then you're managing a club, a restaurant, and a beach club, for instance. So by being able to be successful with 3 different concepts and 3 different, because they all have different strategy, obviously that could be already something that entitle you to consider, and it just directs you to the next role. Because eventually, at one point, I won't be there inside the venues dealing directly with the guest, but I will be managing the business by just looking at numbers and guest experience. By then, I will know how the business is performing and what inputs I should to make it better.
And in a very short sentence, what do you love about this idea?
Where there is a will, there is a way.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you so much, Donato, for your pearls of wisdom and for your experience, your real, let's say, brutal truth. Yeah, we exchanged a couple of experiences of life, and we found each other in line with the same opinion. I can't be really more thankful to have you here. Thank you so much. And guys, again, stay tuned for this episode. and many others, because these are actually real opinion of and experiences of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucia. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.